So we have a note here. One of it's Bren, right? You said in your pre-show information that you sent us that you had a story about something on a highway. Can you tell us that story?
Shootout.
That's actually really good.
Okay. So one day I'm driving down literally the highway, and I see this guy pull up in a truck next to me, and I'm like, oh, he's kind of cute. And he's like, call me, and the number was on the side of his truck. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call him. So I call him, and he's like, hey, I think you're cute. I'd love to take you out sometime. Sure. Want to take me out next Tuesday? And I was staying with my parents that summer. I was on college break. So I'm getting ready, and my mom comes upstairs. She's like, Bren, your date's here to see you. And she looks like a little confused. I'm like, yeah, my date. Like, I'm really excited. And I walk outside, and he's a legit midget.
I believe the correct term is dwarf or little person.
Okay, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, what's politically correct?
Okay, so it was a dwarf.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a dwarf.
Little person. Okay.
Yeah. So.
You went on the date.
No, so he's like, I borrowed my brother's sports car for the night, and he like pulls all the way like to touch the brake, and he's like, I thought we could go to the beach for the night, which is like 45 minutes away, and I'm like, oh.
To get dinner, right? To get dinner.
How was he going to drive a sports car
beach.
with his little legs?
No, he like pulled all the way like.
Oh, he was all the way up.
Yes,
there?
all the way up. Yeah.
There's
yeah.
also like things that
Like special pedal extender
Yeah,
things.
yeah, and like, he's like, all right, we'll go to the beach, and I'm in my head, I'm like, I can't do this. So I text one of my girlfriends, and I'm like, oh my God, you have to like call me and say some kind of emergency happened. So she did, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like so and so is in the hospital, we gotta go home. And he took me home. So you lied? I did. He took me home.
But like, haven't you ever been asked out on a date with a guy who, say, wasn't a dwarf, but like you kind of knew that maybe like you weren't really feeling it, but you just went on the date?
No, I wouldn't waste my time.
So if a guy asks you out on a date, and then like, I think the polite thing to do would be go on the date, but then just not.
Yeah, but I didn't want to waste any of our time.
Well, that's how a villain's created, but
you could have told the truth. You could have said, hey, I'm not into little people. Bring me home.
I think he knew from her facial expression.
Yeah, so then when he dropped me off, he sent me a text, and he's like, it happens to me all the time.
Like, this poor guy.
So, okay, just for clarification, you were driving on the highway.
I was driving, so I couldn't see what he looked like.
You couldn't tell that
I couldn't tell that he was like, what, 4 foot? I don't know.
But couldn't you just, I mean, like, what else were you doing that night? Couldn't you have still just gone on the date, and even though you had no interest in them, just had like a pleasant... Haven't you ever gone on a date with a guy and like...
She didn't want to lead him on. She didn't want to lead him on, which is very respectable. You didn't want to lead him on.
I didn't want to lead him on. Exactly.
But I think like
I don't know.
I don't know. Like one trick I've learned is before I obviously got married is like, if you're not attracted, you just be like, listen, I really appreciate you putting yourself out there to ask me out, but I'm just not attracted, but I really wish you the best. Yeah, it hurts a little bit, but it's respectful, and, in the end,
I'm just not into
it.
Wasting. Would you, what would you do?
Let me give you a hypothetical.
Well, I'm down, like, I'm actually down to date a dwarf, so like...
We saw one the other night at Catfish.
Back in the day in New York, I'm in a bar, and I'm like, I sit down next to this girl, and we end up in a full conversation, and she seems great. We get each other's numbers. She invites me over to her house. It's pretty obvious that she wants to sleep together because she's inviting me over her house at like 3 a.m. And so I ride my bike over to her house in the cold, and she's sitting downstairs on the stoop in front of her house, in front of her apartment, which I thought was very strange because any normal person would probably want to stay inside as long as possible. And I go, she's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, you want to go upstairs? She says yes. And she has this kind of like walk with like, like her legs are like clearly like not moving properly, and like I guess I lurked her Facebook, and it seemed like she was in some horrible car accident or something like that. But like she clearly thought we were gonna sleep together, and I don't know, there was just something about her walk that just turned me off so much that I just couldn't do it at all. So I've been there before.
She had a limp?
She had like, you ever been like, see a girl's like a horrible car accident and her legs are just kind of like moving in this like crazy direction, and
You're gonna get canceled, Adam.
I don't care. No,
Okay,
but then
alright.
what's crazy is that she starts dating some kickboxing champion, and I kept seeing him around town, and he kept looking at me like he was going to beat the shit out of me, and I'm like, are you going to beat me up because I didn't want to fuck your girlfriend? Like, I don't know.
Did you
You're
kind
welcome.
of, knowing that she was able to snag that fighter, did you have second thoughts about?
It did make me think like maybe I was a little too close-minded, but honestly, it just sucked the wind out of the room. Like I couldn't, and we were outside, but I could not find myself attracted to her at all. It just, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think it would have been polite to still have gone on the date, you know? Because he drove to come pick you up. He got all ready. I think it would have been polite to just obviously not, you know, have a polite platonic conversation with him, and obviously you don't have to go on a second date, but
It sucks though because that's more leading him on.
That's
you know?
more leading him. That's what I'm saying. You're just leading him on even more, and he wants to go to the beach and have a romantic beach dinner. I couldn't.
Once you agree to go on that date, it's like there's gonna be a moment of cruelty here,
Yeah.
whether it's you rip the Band-Aid straight off or you do it like really slow, you know, which
Yeah.
it really sucks.
And then getting ghosted is even worse. You might as well just be honest.
It's true.
didn't you also have a ghosting situation?
Yeah.
What was that?
So I dated my ex for 2.5 years, and we lived in Atlanta together. I was in Nashville for work. I came home one weekend. He was gone. All of his stuff was gone. And then his dad reached out to mine to tell me it was over. And I haven't heard from him since. So
Nice.
yeah. Hi, Brian.
Did you? Oh, his name's Brian with an I or Y?
Why? The worst.
Have you checked on Facebook, like what he's
Oh,
up to?
I didn't mention this. He got back together with his ex for the 3rd time.
That sounds like some shit a guy would do if he found out that's what I would do if my girl was cheating on me.
No, she wasn't.
I wasn't. The complete opposite.
sure?
Some guys are just cowards and they can't say what
Maybe.
they're thinking.
Yeah.
They
I
just have to do
I would
that.
have married him. Like I would have done anything for him, and
She just
If anything, he
There's-
might have
there's
cheated
more
on
to the
her
story.
because
There's
she
gotta
found
be
a
more to
phone
the
no,
charger.
I swear, like it was like 2 days prior to that, he's like, I can't wait to marry you, and it's like, you know, when you know something's going on, like I don't know, I had an intuition.
It's
Mhm.
very possible, especially if her boyfriend was already seeing the ex. Then yeah, of course it would have been way easy for him to just cut her off and not say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
that's rough.
painful,
I'm
though. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
It was
that
so
happened to you.
painful. The worst pain I've ever gone through.
Aw.
I had to take leave from work and all that fun stuff, but
You're better now.
it makes you realize what you don't want, and yeah.
But we
People
live in such a
lie, though.
weird
People lie,
world
yeah.
where people just will like walk away from a situation
Right.
and not even have the conversation. Like the ghosting thing is
Yeah.
so common, and it's just like, I mean, I kind of like got into a relationship like as that was becoming more the norm since we started seeing each other in like 2016. But that just is kind of terrible. I feel like if anything, if you want to be a good guy or a good person, always be down to give somebody an exit interview.
I think
you
just
know?
being honest, even if it's the worst truth you have to give, is way better than making someone just wonder like a million different things.
And then his dad to reach out
Yeah,
to mine, tell
what
me
the
it was
hell?
over.
That is some pussy ass shit.
a lot of
Yeah.
men just avoid that because they don't know how to properly like communicate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and especially like firing people. I've made this mistake a million times, but if you fire somebody and you really like give them your time and explain to them why this job was not going to work out or why they fucked up so bad that you can't continue to employ them or whatever, it's probably going to go over okay. Whereas if you just kind of like let somebody go and don't really tell
Yeah.
them what's going on, a lot of times that becomes like the angry ex-employee, you know?
Ghosting happens, Brian.
what? There's more stories.
That's a good one. Huh?
Here, I'll read these. Martin, for Blondie, I'm having terrible difficulty conceptualizing ratios. Could you please tell me what is the ratio for a delusional woman who believes she's hot and interesting to the desperate men who lie to her for sex? Please feel free to be as scientific as
Can you
possible.
ask him to send us a selfie?
Marquavius Martin.
Because I want to see what he looks like. Because
she wants
he's
a
hiding
selfie.
behind his text messages and behind his screen.
I don't know if he's down to send a selfie.
He
but
probably
really quick,
isn't because he's
yo,
probably super ugly.
guys, go to twitch.tv/whatever. Drop
Please
us a
send a
follow.
selfie.
Drop us a Prime sub. Twitch.tv/whatever. Drop us a follow. Drop us a Prime sub. Thank you. Oh, actually, let me shout out. Yo, Hobo, thank you for the Prime. Buddha, thank you for the tier 1. Steve-O, thank you for the Prime. Mr. Steak, thank you for the prime. Panda, thank you for the prime. It was how do you pronounce that? Kjane Karen, thank you for that raid earlier. And then B-Star, thank you for the prime, appreciate it. Wait, okay, so I'm still caught up on this dwarf thing. What if
Honesty
he
is
was
the
slanging?
best policy.
What if he was slanging like Puffy, Vegas? Like he had a
Size doesn't matter, bro.
he had just a meat cannon.
No.
No, okay.
That doesn't.
He was a Dick Smith, like Adam.
No.
Have you guys done any
When you
shot
know, you
anything
know,
with
and if
the little person?
No, you know.
No, not yet. Although I'm totally open to that. People always ask if I'm into the trans thing or if I'm going to go gay. The answer is no. But the midget or the little person, I could definitely be open to that.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know. You could have gone on a date with him. That's all I'm saying.
I think I saved him in the long run.
I wonder what would have been like. You could have just told him. Was it better to make the whole excuse about the emergency, or would it have been better to have just said, "I didn't know you were a dwarf"?
I know. The moral of the story is don't go on a date with a guy that you meet driving on the highway
That is
with
the
a number
moral.
on the side of his truck.
Yeah, I wonder if that's his move because he
Probably.
knows that people can't see.
It probably is his move.
Okay,
Is that-
what if you end up going on a date with a girl, like same thing, but she's 400 pounds and you don't realize it from the way she looks in the car? Like, 'cause I have had that happen to me where I showed up to meet a girl off MySpace back in the day and she was massive and
Yeah, the
I
MySpace
still
days.
banged her.
The
And,
MySpace
you know, like, I just did it anyway because I was like, what else am I doing?
Yeah.
But for sure, I wasn't
that's a
proud
fair
of it.
point.
Wasn't
That is a
worried
fair
about your
point.
ratio at all.
No,
but-
yeah. That's how my body count got so high.
Exactly.
But
I try to do my due diligence though when it comes to. I'm pretty sure I would avoid a catfish scenario.
yeah, now knowing what I know now, it's like I know exactly what girls are doing to make them look like something
Yeah.
different on
That's a
social
fair point,
media.
though.
But 2003, I definitely did not know what the
That
hell
is
they
a
were
fair
doing.
A
point.
lot of girls don't look what they look like in the pictures and stuff. So